Eh, eh,
Greetings all. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of time for all our guests to get situated here while we open the waiting room into our meeting room this evening. Okay. Just after 6 p.m. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for taking your time out of your evening to invest it in the future of your public lands. My name is Dolores Garcia, and I'm a public affairs specialist for the Bureau of Land Management here in Arizona. I'll be assisting with the meeting facilitation this meeting and working behind the scenes with a few other helpers to run some technical support. Please be aware that this session is being recorded and will be made publicly available via our BLM Arizona YouTube and our social media channels. I'll share that information a little bit later here in the chat. In this session, please do not share any personal or sensitive information in questions or in the chat, as we cannot guarantee that we will be able to withhold any personally identifying information that is shared during this session. Microphones and cameras other than those of the presenters will be muted through the session. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Closed captioning is available within this meeting. The closed captioning is auto-generated by the Zoom platform and cannot guarantee its accuracy. The option is available in the toolbar located either at the bottom or maybe at the top of your screen, depending on the version of Zoom you may be using, and that'll be the square box with CC located within it. For tonight, we will be focusing our questions in the Q&A option. Those are also available at the bottom of your screen, or possibly by tapping the More function at the bottom of your screen with the 3 dots. You'll see the Q&A option. You can use that throughout the session to to ask a question, which will be answered upon the completion of the presentation. If your question, when your question is being addressed, if we need further clarification, you may be asked to unmute yourself to provide further clarification to a question being asked. Otherwise, you will remain muted throughout the entirety of the session. The chat feature will be used to share links that will be relevant to your research and provide you direction on providing comment for any of these public business plans that we'll be presenting this evening. Again, that chat function is available at the bottom of your screen. You can tap that to open up the chat feature. The chat feature itself will be disabled to chat amongst participants. Remember that any questions here are not considered official public comment, and official public comments for the administrative record need to be submitted in writing or via email to the business plan address provided and directed to the office for which you have a concern or comment for. Tonight, we will be informing you on the business plans up for review across Arizona and several ways you can submit your comments officially. Now I would like to turn it over to Miley Adler, Branch Chief for Recreation, Cultural, and Planning at the BLM Arizona State Office. Miley?
Thank you, and welcome. Welcome to this information session on the Bureau of Land Management, Arizona's 6 recreation fee proposals. And thank you for choosing to spend your time with us this evening to learn more about what the BLM is proposing, how and why we develop these proposals, and how you can provide your input vital to this process. Public lands are special. More than ever, public lands are great places for us to experience the beauty of nature, connect with family and friends, improve our mental and physical health, and so much more. The past 5 years re-emphasized how important public lands are to us, and the BLM Arizona wants to ensure that public lands continue to offer visitors a great experience now and into the future. Thank you for your support of public lands. Now I will turn it over to Nancy Patterson, BLM Arizona's Recreation and Visitor Services Program Lead.
Thank you, Miley. Hi, everybody. My name is Nancy Patterson, and I am BLM Arizona's Recreation and Visitor Services Lead. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this information session about the 6 business plans that are currently out for public comment. And the purpose of tonight's session is to invite you to provide the BLM with your comments on the 6 recreation fee proposals via the written methods, and we'll talk about that in a little bit of how you can provide your comments. At this session today, we're going to provide you some background and key information about what the BLM is proposing and why we're proposing it. We'll cover an overview of recreation program opportunities throughout BLM Arizona, as well as an overview of the fee proposals and the process and where you can find more information and comment. As Miley mentioned, public lands are special. These images depict examples of some of those special places that are included in the fee proposals we're going to go over tonight in greater detail. Recreation is an important way for people to get out on public lands, oftentimes using campgrounds, day use areas, and special recreation areas to explore and connect with public lands. And what we've seen over the course of the last few years is visitation on public lands in Arizona has climbed from 4.9 million in fiscal year 2019 to 6.8 million in fiscal year 23. At the same time, operating costs have increased, and the recreation dollar per visitor has been flat. Funding methods vary as well in terms of how we manage our recreation sites. For example, some of our funding mechanisms like the Great America Outdoor Act or the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act and bill funding are one-time dollars that are used to enhance specific items such as new construction or renovations. And they may give some funding for construction. Now we're looking to maintain those resources into the future. Some of the fee sites that we have throughout BLM Arizona have not increased their fees in more than 20 years, and a market analysis revealed that BLM fee rates are lower than other providers. This image here, these 2 pictures show some investment opportunities that we have to improve our recreation experiences in Arizona. For example, with La Posa, as we were mentioning that there's been increased visitation, we've had to increase contracts to pick up and also increase the number of dumpsters as a result of that. And Gila Box Riparian National Conservation Area, which is the image on the right side, you can see there's some work we could do to improve the concrete and other amenities available at these sites. And so this is one of the ways that recreation fee revenue, for recreation fee dollars, can help support the infrastructure that we have on site and the visitor experience. Public lands provide an array of settings that support countless outdoor recreation experiences. And shown here are just some of the recreational opportunities available in Arizona. Everything from auto tour driving for pleasure, to camping, to fishing, enjoying interpretive programs, water sports, and more. And currently BLM administers 29 recreation fee sites and areas in Arizona where fees are charged. However, the vast majority of the 12.1 million acres of public lands in Arizona are fee-free to enjoy. So it's important to remember that 11.9 million acres of BLM's Arizona's 12.1 million acres of public land are available to enjoy fee-free. And there are more than 40 fee-free developed recreation locations, including things like trailheads. Besides the general public land that is open and available on sites where there are recreation fees or where there are proposals for recreation fees, there are a variety of ways that the members of the public can use recreation passes and other resources to go to sites for that help offset costs. Some are examples are site-specific passes that are related to the specific sites or locations within an area, and we'll describe those more in a minute. There's also things like fourth graders, Every Kid Outdoor Pass, and the America the Beautiful passes, including Military Pass, Access Pass, the Senior Pass, and the regular annual pass. And some people might also remember that in the past there was the Golden Eagle and Golden Access Pass. Those have new names now of Senior Pass and Access Pass, but both are accessible, and you can change your pass if you have those. You can change them to the contemporary Senior Pass or Access Pass. Site-specific passes have specific uses at their recreation areas. They provide additional value for frequent recreationists to particular areas. In this round of business plans, there are 3 offices which are proposing site-specific passes. Those are listed here on the screen. The offices include Yuma, Safford, and Tucson. And these are some ways to use the America the Beautiful passes. There are 2 primary methods to use America the Beautiful. The first is at standard amenity sites, and this applies to all America the Beautiful passes as well as the Every Kid Outdoor passes. This is a listing of the locations where you can use that for standard amenity sites, ranging from Senator Wash and TK Jones to Gila River recreation sites, Las Ciénegas, and San Pedro Riparian National Conservation Areas. Expanded amenity sites have additional features or improvements, such as campgrounds or highly developed boat launches. Those are 2 examples. And so there are only a couple of different types of passes that work at standard amenity sites, expanded amenity sites, which include Senior Pass and Access Pass. This is a listing of the locations with expanded amenity campgrounds, where you can use the Senior Pass or the Access Pass, including Phoenix District, State Line Campground, a variety of sites within Safford, and the Gila River Christmas and Shores Campground. BLM Arizona also participates in fee-free day opportunities, and fee-free days also correspond with locations where standard amenity sites, like you would use for all of your America the Beautiful passes or Every Kid Outdoors. The locations are listed there for the standard amenity sites, and there are some other fee-free locations within the Safford district listed on the slide as well. This last year, 2024, we've had 5 fee-free days, and those are all available on the BLM's website, so you can look up and see when you can go and use and access locations for no charge. The Federal Lands Recreation Enhancement Act of 2004 is the act that authorizes the BLM to collect recreation fees in accordance with certain criteria. And that includes individual special recreation permits, which are part of the business planning process. Some of those special areas that have ISRPs or individual special recreation permits include Aravaipa Wilderness and the LTVAs, which are both out for review in this round of business plans. Recreation fees can be used in a variety of ways according to FLORIA. One is through the repair, maintenance, or enhancement of facilities related directly to visitor access and health and safety. Some examples of that include toilet cleaning, toilet pumping, supplies for restrooms, as well as water system testings and site improvements, among others. The fees can also be used for interpretation and visitor services, including wayfinding, interpretive signs, brochures, interpretive programming, and educational programming. They can be used for law enforcement related to visitor use, to help improve visitor and site safety, for search and rescue, and support for local law enforcement agencies as well. They can also be used for habitat restoration directly related to wildlife dependent recreation. And so some of those examples are habitat restoration projects with volunteers, like you might have seen opportunities with National Public Lands Day that's coming up later this month. And sometimes those would be at recreation sites where this would apply. Also, boat cleaning stations is another example for habitat restoration. And then finally, they can also be used for direct operating costs associated with the recreation fee program. Some examples of that include park ranger labor, fee compliance, site cleaning, and visitor contacts. It's important to remember that 100% of recreation fee dollars are reinvested directly back into local recreation programs to maintain and improve the recreational opportunities. So all of the fees that come in on these plans, they're reinvested back into the sites and areas where the fees are collected. Fees are only one part of BLM's comprehensive funding strategy to support recreation sites and services. Other parts of the strategy include appropriated funding, volunteer assistance, interagency cooperation, grants, and partnerships. And the BLM bases decisions about whether to charge a fee on the criteria set forth in FLREA, the Federal Lands Recreation Enhancement Act. That includes a market analysis as well as public participation. Market analysis includes a review of comparable sites in the area and evaluates fees based on fair market value. And public involvement includes seeking input from members of the public on the plans. So we drafted these fee proposals, and now we're seeking your input on the plans. If we step back for a moment to the 30,000-foot level, many of you know that outdoor recreation is a huge economic driver for the West. There are more than 120 urban centers and thousands of rural towns located within 25 miles of Bureau of Land Management public lands. And their recreational resources provide critical economic support and quality of life benefits to local communities and businesses. They attract visitors from across the country and even abroad. Today, recreation on BLM lands contributes annually more than $11.4 billion in economic output and supports about 76,000 jobs nationwide. In August of 2023, the BLM established a new vision in the Blueprint for 21st Century Outdoor Recreation to proactively manage and for exceptional and unique recreational experiences that invite all to share in the enjoyment and stewardship of their public lands. This effort in Arizona to modernize the management of recreation sites and areas advances implementation of the blueprint by proactively responding to the demands and diversifying funding sources to enable BLM to continue to provide quality recreational experiences at these sites. We've looked at why the BLM developed these fee proposals. Now we're going to cover what is included in the fee proposals and where to find them. First, the BLM documents recreation fee proposals in the form of a business plan, and the business plan includes a description of the basis to charge the fee in compliance with FLREA, costs of administering sites, as well as priorities for future expenditures. Each of the business plans that we're seeking your input on addresses following topics, ranging from the authority for BLM to charge a fee to describing the public outreach efforts. And each plan also has an executive summary at the beginning of the document. You'll also find a Dear Reader letter, which includes information about how you can submit your comment. We would like to point out that for all of the existing fee sites that BLM Arizona currently administers, the operating costs, the operating expenses are far greater than the recreation fee revenue collected. You'll see this identified in the operating costs and revenue sections of each of the plans. We've covered what's included in the draft business plans, and we also want to highlight a few items that are not part of the business planning process. While FLREA authorizes the BLM to collect recreation fees for commercial, competitive, organized group, and vending special recreation permits, those fees are set by the Bureau of Land Management Director and are therefore beyond the scope of these business plans. However, the recreation use fees associated with individual special recreation permits for the use of special areas like LTVAs or the Aravaipa Wilderness are set by the BLM state director and do follow the public participation requirements of FLURIA. In addition, FLURIA authorizes the BLM to charge an expanded amenity fee for the use of reservation services. These fees can range depending on the type of service provided, and most of the services provided are through the Interagency Reservation Service, recreation.gov. The reservation service itself is subject to contracting requirements and will be adjusted with contract changes. So therefore, it's also outside of the scope of these business plans. To give you a sense of where we are with the recreation fee proposal process and what comes next, this diagram shows where we started. We began by conducting comparability analysis, which is also known as the market analysis, where we compare fees charged in the surrounding area by other operators with similar opportunities. And where the BLM's fee rates are lower than market value, then the local office develops a draft business plan to identify our operating expenses, current revenue, and use the market analysis to help inform the proposed fee rates. From there, it goes through a review process at the state office as well as our national headquarters office, which brings us to where we are today in the upper left corner of the screen in the blue bolded box, public comment period for the draft plans. Once the public comment period closes, we'll then consider the comments that we've received, and we may revise the draft plans as a result of those comments. Then we present the draft plan to the Recreation Advisory Council at public meeting. The RAC makes a recommendation to the BLM on the fee proposal, which the BLM then considers along with the public input. And then if approved, the BLM begins to implement the fees. To date, this lists the core public outreach that we've completed, ranging from developing a story map to these virtual information sessions, doing outreach to media outlets, social media, and then outreach to tribes, congressional staff, governor's offices, different agencies at various levels throughout the state and federal government, interest groups, and then also the Resource Advisory Council. In addition, we've posted flyers at the existing and proposed fee sites, announcing the public comment period and requesting public input. This is a link and a QR code to the draft business plan website. On this website, you can find each of the draft plans that's available for public comment. And you can open it up and read the plans as well as then submit your comments. And in addition, we've developed a story map, an ArcGIS story map, which is an interactive way to see the plans. So it provides you information on the fees, how to submit comments, as well as links to the draft plans. We'll show you some screenshots in a minute of how those look. I'm going to show you where you can go to learn about each of the 6 draft plans that we have available for public comment. This slide shows the names of the different plans that we're seeking input on. Please do note that some of the plans contain more than one fee site or proposed fee sites, and we'll walk through each of the plans in the next few slides. The map on the right slide shows the location of each of the existing or proposed fee sites included in the draft plans, and you can access an interactive story map with the link that Dolores will provide in the chat. We're going to go through the different sites and their proposals from the northwest to the southeast. That's also how the story map goes as well. So the first plan we'll cover is Arizona Strip Field Office and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, and it's the State Line Campground. This is a new proposed fee site. And this plan was collaboratively developed between these 2 offices. When you select the state line within the story map, the map zooms into this location. It gives you an aerial view of the site location, as well as an overview of the plan and the site location itself. The story map summarizes the current fees, and it also summarizes the proposed fee changes. And then it also has links, and those are the green bolded buttons that say go to visitor information page or read the draft business plan. It's also noted on each one when the fee was last increased if it has an existing fee. For State Line Campground, this is a new proposed fee. Improvements were made at this site in 2010 with ARA funds, and the BLM is proposing establishing an expanded amenity fee for overnight camping of $16 per campsite. The next plan is the Yuma Field Office amenity sites, and it is important to note Yuma has two plans out for public comment right now. One is their amenity fee sites, and the other is their long-term visitor areas. So we'll cover both. The first one is the amenity sites, and this is a list of the locations. The La Posa and Imperial Dam LTVAs are managed as amenity fee sites in their off long-term season. That's from April 16th to September 14th, and that's why they're listed here on this slide. Also part of the amenity sites are Senator Wash, TK Jones, Oxbow, and the proposed Fortuna Pond campground. In addition, through this plan, Yuma Field Office proposes removing fees at two sites, Betty's Kitchen and Ehrenberg Sandball. This slide covers a comprehensive look at the fee proposals as each of these sites follows the same model. The proposed fee changes for the amenity sites are from day use per motor vehicle, $10, there's no change. Overnight occupancy per motor vehicle, the current fee is $15 and the proposal is $20. And the annual pass or decal, which is good for up to 3 motor vehicles per pass holder with a 2 decal limit. The current is $75 and the proposal is $200. The fees for Yuma Field Office's amenity sites were last increased in 2008. I'm going to click through the next few slides so you can see how they show up on the story map. And you can also get a sense of the location of these sites. This is for Senator Wash North Shore, South Shore, Senator Wash Boat Launch and Day Use Area, TK Jones Campground and Boat Launch, Oxbow Campground and Boat Launch, and also the proposed Fortuna Pond Campground. In this instance, YFO proposes building a campground near Fortuna Pond, and it would follow the same proposed fee structure that I just outlined. In addition, and in order to provide a quality recreation experience for free, the Yuma Field Office proposes removing fees for Betty's Kitchen as well as Ehrenberg Sand Bowl. So the current day use for both of those locations is $10, and the proposal is to change that to be free. So this is for Betty's Kitchen and then Ehrenberg Sand Bowl. Yuma Field Office also has a proposed business plan for the long-term visitor areas, which includes La Posa and Imperial Dam LTVAs. These two sites are managed as LTVAs from September 15th to April 15th. And so this particular business plan covers use fees during that time period. For the two LTVAs, the proposed fee changes for the winter season, the LTVA season. The short-term permit would go from 14 days to 30 days. Its current fee is $40 and the proposal is $200. And the long-term permit, which is valid for up to 7 months, is currently $80 with a proposed fee of $600. These were last increased in 2008. I'm going to click through the next two slides so you can see how they show up on the story map. And with these two sites, it's important to remember because they are operated through, they have two different business plans that are out for proposal. You'll see that there's information about the site, and then you'll see information that's, that directs you to the LTVA draft business plan or to the fee amenity business plan. So it's important to click on the plans that you want to read within those ones, and then also you can submit your comments through there too. And here's what it looks like for Imperial Dam. The next business plan is the Phoenix District Office Campgrounds. And this Phoenix District has one existing fee site, Painted Rock Petroglyph site and campground. And it also has 4 proposed new campgrounds. You can see the asterisk there for the new proposed sites. And I will click through so you can also see how they look on the story map. And we'll start with Painted Rock Petroglyph site and campground. Painted Rock Petroglyph is an existing fee site. It currently has a day use fee of $2. And in order to provide a quality recreation experience, the proposal is to remove that fee and have it be a free day use site. There still would be expanded amenity campground fee. For an individual site, the current fee is $6 and the proposed fee is $20. Now you'll see that this includes a list of some additional fees there for additional proposed opportunities. I'm going to click forward. These are the same fees that are relevant to the 4 proposed campgrounds. So just so you can see where those 4 sites are, and I'll talk about the fee proposed change here. So for these sites, the individual non-electric per night is currently at $6. The proposal is $20. For these proposed sites, there's not currently a fee there, and so it would be a $20 fee. For an individual site electric per night, the proposal is $30. For a group site per night, the proposal is $50. And for a dump station fee, the amenity currently does not exist at these sites, but when it would be installed, the proposal is $10. And so all of the PDO campgrounds are following that same structure, and you'll see that reflected in the business plan. The next plan is the Safford Field Office and Gila Box Riparian National Conservation Area, which includes these locations. The Safford Field Office proposes changing existing fees in 5 locations, and it proposes a new fee at Indian Bread Rocks Recreation Area. The first of their sites is Aravaipa Canyon. Their fees were last increased in 1999, and the proposed change for day or overnight use per person is to go from the current $5 to a proposed $12 per person. Again, that was last changed in 1999. For Hot Well Dunes, the proposal is to change its fee type to an individual special recreation permit, or ISRP, as a special area. The fees in this area have not changed since 1997, and the proposed fee changes include day or overnight use per vehicle, currently $3 with a proposal of $15, and a day or overnight use per vehicle annual pass, which is currently $3. The proposal is $80. These were last increased in 1997. For Gila River Boat Put-in has a per person fee for up to a 5-day trip, and the current fee is $3. The proposal is $8. The fees have not changed since 1999. Safford Field Office also has several campgrounds, and each of these campgrounds follows the same fee proposal. So the proposed fee changes for 4 Mile, Riverview, Owl Creek, and for the proposed Indian Bread Rock Recreation Area. Overnight, 2 vehicle per night. For the existing sites, the current fee is $5 and the proposal is $15. And per additional vehicle, the current fee is $2 with a proposed fee of $5. Again, I'll click through so you can get a sense of the locations of those with the aerial view and what it looks like in the story map. This is for 4 Mile Canyon Recreation Site. The fees here were last increased in 2005. For Owl Creek Campground, the fees were last increased in 1999. And for Riverview Campground, these fees were also last increased in 1999. Safford proposes one new recreation fee site, which is Indian Bread Rocks Recreation Area, following that same fee structure I described before. And the last business plan is the Tucson Field Office Recreation Sites and Areas, which includes these 4 locations. The Sprinka San Pedro Riparian National Conservation Area is the only existing fee site in Tucson field office. The other 3 areas are new proposed fee areas. So for their first location, Gila River Recreation Sites, Christmas and Shores, the proposal is a new proposal. It's currently free for day use, and the proposed day use per vehicle is $7. For their local area annual pass, which is also known as the Gila River Pass, currently there's no charge, and the proposed fee is $40. Camping per night per site is currently free with a proposal of $10. The group site for $1 to $50 per day or night is currently free with a proposal of $75, and a group site of 51 or more people has a proposal of $150. For the Ironwood Forest National Monument, this is a special management area. And so we have a proposed fee based on an individual special recreation permit. There are additional details about the locations for this particular fee listed in the business plan in Appendix 1. So it's important to get to read through that and look at the map and additional information in that plan. This would be a new proposed fee area with an overnight camping individual special recreation permit per vehicle per night of $15. For Las Ciénegas National Conservation Area, this includes Empire Ranch and Airstrip day use areas, plus maternity well and ag field. And you'll see there's a variety of fee structures listed underneath this, depending on the type of use. So Las Ciénegas has proposals for day use, a local pass called the Empire Pass, group sites, as well as for an individual special recreation permit. The proposed new fees for Empire Ranch and for Airstrip day use areas. There are no fees currently at this location. So the proposal per vehicle per day is $10. And the local area pass, also known as the Empire Pass, which would be for day use only, is proposed for $40. The fee for these for the day use would be applicable to both Empire Ranch and Airstrip, so you would be able to go to both sites. Airstrip, maternity well, and ag field also have group sites. And so for those locations, for a developed group site of 1 to 75 people per day or night, it's currently free, and the proposal is $100. And for a developed group site of 76 or more people, it's currently free, and the proposal is $200. And then finally, they also are proposing the Las Ciénegas individual special recreation permit for recreation fee zones. That would be for overnight camping. It's currently free, and the proposal is $15. Again, look at the appendix within the document, Appendix 2, for information about where that particular fee would apply. San Pedro Riparian National Conservation Area is the only location within Tucson that has existing fees. And those fees were set in 1988 and have not changed since then. So the proposed fee change is from day use of standard amenity fee per vehicle per day. There currently isn't a fee for that, and the proposal is to change that to $10. There's also a proposal for a local area annual pass called the San Pedro Pass, which would be $40. The one fee that exists is a camping backcountry per person per night fee, which is $2, and the proposal is to change that to $10. Again, access to the day use sites would apply to all of the locations within the SPRNCA that would have that standard amenity fee, and you can find out more details within the business plan. So that's an overview of the 6 business plans. But in addition, our recreation fee policy encourages us to use an index for routine adjustments to fees and to get public input on establishing the method and the index rather than reviewing each individual future fee adjustment. There are some benefits of using this index for future adjustments, and that includes that BLM would not be introducing steep fee changes in the future. Instead, fees would evolve in tandem with changing costs of goods and services over time. The proposal in each of the draft business plans is that if and or when the consumer price index, also known as the CPIU, increases by 20%, the BLM would have the option to implement a fee adjustment of 20%. And we're seeking your input on this model that we've developed for using the consumer price index, or CPIU, annual average as this index. For reference, the CPIU is the broadest and most comprehensive measure of the rate of inflation for goods and services and represents over 90% of the total US population. And we're thrilled that you've joined us today for this information session. We want to hear your input on the draft business plans that we've developed. And I'm going to go over how you can submit your comments. So we will accept comments. Official written comments are accepted via email, mail, and hand delivered. Comments posted on social media pages are not considered official comments for the record, and all comments must be submitted in writing by October 21st. And it's really important, if you are commenting on the business plans, please make sure to comment to the using the specific email or mail address so that your comment gets to the office where you want that information received. And so, like, if you're really interested in the LTVAs, please make sure that you get it sent to the UMA field office, who will be responding to those comments and reviewing them. Same goes with the other plans. So this is how you can submit those comments. There is a unique email or mailing address that you can send your comments in. You can find the information within the story map, like we just went over. It's also on the draft business plan website, and it's in the Dear Reader letters of each plan. And I'm going to show you examples of what that looks like. So on the top left in the gray box, you'll see there's a green bolded button that says email, and then it gives a specific email. When you click on that, it'll actually open up an email, and then you can write your comment right into it, and it'll send to the office that's for that particular business plan. The box below it shows what it looks like in the Dear Reader letter. And so you'll see that you could send it by email. It also includes where you can deliver it by person, or you can mail it. It goes to the mailing address. And then on the right side of the screen, it shows how you can go to the website, click the plan, and then it'll have the information there as well for how to submit those comments. If you'd like to learn more or share more information, like let other people know about the plans, we do have several future sessions to help people learn about the business plans. This is the last currently scheduled general information session. However, the UMA field office is having several more public meetings and information sessions. The next public meeting is in person in Quartzsite from 1 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October 9th. And they're also having 2 information sessions in person at Imperial Dam LTVA from 1 to 3 on November 6th, and in person in Quartzsite from 1 to 3 on November 20th. And so we'd like to thank you again for listening to this information session. Again, for public comments and for official comments, please submit that formal comment through the avenues that we provided. And please make sure that you send it to the email or to the mailing address or in person about the specific plan that you're looking for. That really helps make sure the comments get where they need to, so we can make sure to review the input that you have about the plans. And I will pass it back to Dolores to help us with the question and answer session.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm encouraging folks that if they haven't already, to utilize the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen, or maybe at the top of your screen, depending on what type of device you're using. We've got a few questions posed in here. I will answer them in the order received. And the first one is for the UMA field office from Becky Johnstone. The LTVA $180 pass used to cover 7 LTVAs. Will the new fee structure require separate passes for La Posa and Imperial Dam? What about the other 5 LTVAs? What will their fee structure be?
Hey, Dolores, this is Bill from Yuma. Can I take that question?
Yes, go ahead, Bill.
Hi, Becky. Thanks for your question tonight. I'm Bill Alexander. I'm a field lead outdoor rec planner with the Yuma Field Office. With regard to your question, your LTVA permit purchased from Yuma Field Office managed LTVAs, either Imperial Dam or La Posa, will still have reciprocity in both locations. You can still utilize it at La Posa, you can utilize it at Imperial Dam. It'll work all the way across. The only different caveat that we're facing right now is that the state of California BLM managed LTVAs, those managed by El Centro and Palm Springs, have right now opted to opt out of the LTVA program for the time being. They may re-enter the LTVA program at a later date, a later time, but that's not been determined just yet. We don't know what they're going to do with those parcels that have previously been identified as LTVA locations. But your Yuma Field Office managed Imperial Dam and La Posa will still be covered under one LTVA permit issued from the Yuma Field Office.
Thank you, Bill. Next question comes from Schoolie Swarm. Why such a large increase for LTVA sites? People have depended on these sites for years. A smaller increase would be appropriate given that you have attracted the elderly poor for decades. Bill, are you available for?
I am Dolores. Hi,
Thank you.
Schoolie Swarm. Thanks for joining us tonight, and thank you for your question. We realize that that is a steep cost of living increase, but that is actually what we're looking at. That increase reflects the contracts, the labor, everything that goes into management and sustaining those long-term visitor areas. We haven't done a fee increase since 2008. There's a number of reasons why that didn't occur sooner, but where we're at today, we have to meet our operating expenses. It has nothing to do with who our demographics draw or don't draw. The LTVAs are, pay for recreation fee sites, and that's all there is to it. And it costs a lot of money to sustain those operations. And that's what we're looking at, is trying to meet our financial and fiscal responsibility and requirements.
And I'll
Also-
add one.
Yeah,
I'll
I
add
was
one
gonna see if you're
additional.
available, Nancy. Yeah.
I am, thank you. I add one additional component that we did review the language in the FLREA, the Federal Lands Recreation Enhancement Act of 2004, regarding how to apply and especially with socioeconomic considerations. The FLREA is set up based on what types of services or amenities are available at recreation sites or areas, and as such, it's based on a set of criteria that's structured around those, and it does not grant authority for BLM to provide discounts or reduced recreation fees to local residents or to other groups. We do also, as I was mentioning at the beginning part of the program, for certain areas that have standard or expanded amenities, like Yuma Field Office has amenity sites, those can use some of the America the Beautiful passes, or they do have some of the fee-free days. But as Bill was describing with the long-term visitor area, that's a recreation area that's set up for a specific purpose under an individual special recreation permit, and the fee structure is set and does not have, you can't use an America the Beautiful pass for those sites.
Thank you, Nancy. Next one up is also from Schoolie Swarm. What do we demand from our representatives to lower these steep fees? And I'm going to go to Nancy first for this one.
Sure. Thank you, Dolores, and thank you, Schoolie, for your additional question. If you would like to reach out and contact your representatives, that's definitely something that's open and available for you, and you can express your interest in these plans, your concerns for them too, and it's another avenue to be able to bring that up and share about it. And we definitely encourage you as well to put in your comments and also put in your suggestions that you send to the BLM, because that can help us review, evaluate, and look for different options. So please do, we hope to hear from you through the comment period. And then if you want to also reach out to your representatives, then that's something that's available as well for you to do.
Thank you, Nancy. From Ralph Bosey. We've heard the qualifying statement referring to the last time the fee was increased as a number of times this evening. Why did so many years, even a decade, pass without a need to increase fees?
Dolores, this is Bill. I can try to field that one.
Okay. And we might also include possibly Nancy and Miley too for a larger statewide perspective as well. Let's go ahead, Bill.
Ralph, thanks for your question tonight. This is Bill Alexander from the Yuma Field office again. So I'm pretty sure everybody remembers in 2008, that was our last fee increase for the LTVAs and for amenity fee sites. And in 2008, the market tipped over in a big way and really jolted the American economy. We worked pretty hard to try to maintain contract costs, maintain appropriate staffing levels, because we didn't feel that there was going to be a well-received increase to any of those fees. Generally, the LTVAs from the late 90s clear through till about 2008, we were looking at a fee increase roughly every 2 years based upon the cost of running the LTVAs and staffing the LTVAs. 2008 happened, the economy went belly up. Lots and lots of people lost their homes. It was a rough time. I'm sure I don't need to tell you about it. We held on as long as we could. By 2012, 2013, we realized that some of the contract costs were starting to outrun us, and we actually began writing our draft business plan back then. Well, the political winds change and shift, and in 2015, we were working very diligently to get a draft business plan put together and put out. We went into a period where we had a political change, and we no longer had a RAC, which is the Resource Advisory Council, the Recreation Resource Advisory Council. And without a RAC being formed and able to review and bring justice to business plans and to the people that it affects, we were not able to proceed. We were in that same situation for nearly 7 more years. I believe the RAC was formed again in 2023. And help me out here, folks, other BLMers. And finally, with having a RAC, we are now able to bring forward these business plans. It wasn't that there was a lack of desire to bring forward a business plan. It's just that we were not able to. Logistically and lawfully, there was no way to present that and have an approving or disapproving board to review it at all the different angles. And that's pretty much all I have for you at this point.
I can add a little bit as well, and Miley might have something else to share too. Across the country as well, this is with the Bureau of Land Management across the country. This is also an emphasis that BLM is putting right now, is to make sure our business plans do get up to date, because we know it's important to keep that structure forward moving and in line, so that the fee changes match the needs of the sites. We can cover different costs as well. And so it's an effort across the board with the BLM, especially as there's been changes with funding and there's been increased interest in recreation, which has changed the amount of services that we need to provide at different recreation areas. There also, during that time frame, like Bill was sharing a variety of things that were happening locally in Arizona. Another thing was also that we didn't want to raise fees or address those fees during the pandemic. It wasn't the timing didn't fit. So there were several components that kind of built together and led to this particular time frame being something that we could readdress business plans and work on those business plans. And also say again, like one of our goals with using the consumer price index, the CPI-U, is to try to have that option, so that it would not be big changes in the future. It would be a more gradual change that would go more in line with inflation or other rates in the future as well. And the final piece too is that the BLM, part of our process is to review plans periodically and a routine basis. And so that's something that we want to make sure that we're doing through these plans, as well as keeping them up to date. And the CPI-U will help with that going forward as well. And I don't know, Miley, if you've got anything you want to add to.
No, I think that covered it. Thank you.
I also wanted to add, and I will also highlight here the chat. We're including several links in the chat for resources for research further. I'll be dropping in the link to our Resource Advisory Council website. That page does include its charter, does include past minutes for meetings. We did have a challenge there in the 2020 period, between about 2018 and 2023 of having a quorum within our Recreation and Resource Advisory Council. But we now do have a quorum, which is required as part of our process in developing or changing the fee structures of our plans. So I'll be dropping that in there for future reference. Also, too, one of the delays did happen to be the pandemic, and we were not going to propose or implement any type of increases during that pandemic period as well. So with that, let me go ahead and go to the next question. The LTVA renovation of water and dump did not work. Why? Bill, are you available?
Hi, Dolores. Hey, Schoolie, thanks for that question. So there's a couple of things with that. That project has not been brought to fruition, and it's also not been brought to its conclusion yet. It's still tied up. BLM has not taken possession of those infrastructure pieces that were built. The problem right now is having a strong enough viable water delivery system that's going to accommodate and meet all of the need. As far as the infrastructure that was built there, the dump stations, the water points, things of that nature, the above ground things are phenomenal. And once that is brought online, you guys are going to be well taken care of. Fantastic effort on that part of it. The water seems to be, as always, anywhere in the desert, water is the dilemma. And that is the problem right now. Until BLM takes control of that, I can't really give you much more information about it. It's tied up. It's going to be tied up for a while, and I'm hoping to see that thing come to fruition sooner than later. But for the time being, everything at La Posa South is still in operation. Have a good well there, although it is limited in its capacity. It does meet the need, and we still have a dump station that is well treated and cared for, and will, other than the long waits, it does its job as well. So we still have options for folks out there. It's just not the big system that we were hoping to see brought online.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, we don't have any more questions posed within the Q&A. We have reached the top of the hour. I would like to direct again your attention to the chat in which we have dropped in some information. Again, that includes the announcement and original release of information, which includes the links to our business plans and the business plans that are open for comment around the state of Arizona. You're encouraged to go to that website, dig into them and research them thoroughly. Provide us your comments and provide that feedback to us so that we can appropriately assess and make any adjustments if we need to. You are also encouraged to utilize the link to the story map, which provides you some additional information and helps you to orient to the location in and around the state. And with that, this video has been recorded. We will be taking some time tomorrow to include some closed captioning, make sure it's 501 compliant. It'll be available via our BLM Arizona YouTube page, which I've included the link here. Any updates, or we encourage you to also follow us on our BLM Arizona Facebook page for any updates, any public meetings, or any events that may be scheduled in and around the state. For any information on the BLM is available there. And again, I included the information for the Arizona Resource Advisory Council, which is a part of the process that we stated here. Information on the Advisory Council, their charter, and past meetings, as well as upcoming meetings, is available there as well. Seeing no new let's see, hold on. I am seeing a swarm of questions here now. We do have a question that says, is it true there was no water under the drill area of the LTVA?
Yes, they're letting you ask more questions. Hurry. They're letting you ask more.
Ask them, when did this go into effect? And ask them.
At this time, just to respond to the query we had there is at this time that most of these plans will go into effect. Again, we're in a public comment period. The time frame can vary based on the plan. It looks like we're looking for the email for the Imperial and LTV quartzite in the subject line. That email is going to be to the Yuma field office. That is available within the business plan. If you go to the business plan link that we placed in the chat, that is available there. Let me see if I can get that for you really quickly so we can put that in the chat before we close it completely. Again, like I said, the fees will go into effect just depending on which business plan you're referring to. And I believe those, Nancy, you can clarify for me, are within the business plan itself, right? Identified as far as proposed timelines?
As Dolores was sharing, the implementation, it will vary. It's not specifically listed within the plans. We still have quite a bit of the process to go through. We have public comment as well as we'll present to the RAC. And so that will be part of the implementation phase. Sites that are completely new, like completely new construction, they also will go through the NEPA compliance review for environmental review. And so no fees would be put into place on those new sites that need amenities added until after they comply with the environmental reviews as well as FLORIA requirements. For other fees that are already existing, and also for new sites, we'll have them in the Federal Register notice as well, which is required at least 6 months on the Federal Register. So there's a time frame there. We don't completely know when that will come out and do, but there's some implementation timeline there. For existing fee sites, that'll be part of the implementation plan. We don't have dates lined out yet for that, but it's also something if you want to put in comments as well about like what you think in terms of the timeframes of implementation, we welcome that so we can get your input, especially with sites that are already existing, because then it can help us like think through that implementation approach.
Thank you, Nancy. And yes, to address the last question here tonight, fees do go towards law enforcement as well as increased rangers and staffing to help us to enforce the rules and regulations of the sites that people are recreating. And again, 100% of the fees collected go back to that site and are reinvested into the sites to help with anything that may need addressing. So that, again, that varies on the site and their particular needs. And with that, I thank you for attending tonight's meeting. We encourage you to submit your public comments to the appropriate office, as well as your suggestions. And we look forward to reading those and taking those into consideration. With that, thank you for investing your time this evening and have a good evening.